In Haiti, interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph announced that he will resign and hand over power to Prime Minister-designate Ariel Henry. In Germany, the clear-up has barely begun after extensive flooding in the country and beyond, as the human and economic costs are staggering. More than 30 people have died in the Indian city of Mumbai after an intense burst of rainfall caused a landslide and a wall collapse, as changing monsoon patterns due to the climate change lead to more extreme rains across India. Hello, welcome to From the South. I am Janet Perez Moya from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Haiti, interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph, who has been leading the nation since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, announced that he will resign and hand over power to Prime Minister-designate Ariel Henry. In a statement to the press, Joseph said he will hand over power to the Prime Minister-designate, who has the support of a group of Western powers and the United Nations. An official source close to the Prime Minister say a new government will be installed on Tuesday, with Joseph in the post of Foreign Minister. This change came after a grouping of the most influential ambassadors to the country explicitly endorsed Ariel Henry as Prime Minister, a move beyond normal diplomacy and further evidence of foreign meddling in the Caribbean nation. The new Prime Minister Ariel Henry called on a national union to tackle some problems that is facing the Caribbean country.
In my capacity as Prime Minister, to launch a call for national reconciliation, to pool our forces for cooperation among all of us. It's the only way to stop that course into chaos and put our country on the side of all the threats around it. I would like to reiterate my firm condemnation of the assassination of the President of the Republic, Moïse, a crime that has no qualification but hate. On behalf of my family and the entire nation, my condolences to the presidential family in mourning.
Ariel Henry also expressed his opinion on the strength of the Haitian people in the face of the assassination of the young president.
I offer my greetings to the Haitian people who have shown themselves to be very strong in the face of this test that we could call a coup d'etat. In the face of this, they have to keep their cool head and calm about what has happened. We are staying very peaceful in the face of this hate crime, a coup d'etat where all Haitians have helped bring peace to the country to keep us in full unity. Now, I am inviting all the leaders of the country who have a responsibility to talk in the same direction. We have to stay with the same feelings. We will need it to face the many challenges that await us.
Other subjects. While attacks on Cuba by the Biden administration and extreme sectors in Florida continue, many Americans have come together to help provide support to the island to tackle COVID-19. Solidarity Movement in the U.S. launched a campaign which saw thousands of Americans donate $500,000 to send 6 million syringes to Cuba to advance with the COVID-19 vaccination campaign in the midst of ongoing shortage of medical supplies due to the U.S. blockade. The first shipment of 2 million syringes left the United States and arrived at Cuban port of Mariel on Saturday. The purchase and shipment was organized by Global Health Partners, a humanitarian organization that has been sending medicines and medical supplies to Cuba for 27 years. In Nicaragua, dozens of demonstrators took to the streets in support of the people and the government of Cuba after the destabilization attempts that has been taking place in the last few days in the Caribbean island.
Greetings to the 42nd anniversary of the Sandinista Revolution. We are marching in solidarity with Cuba because it is under attack by the imperialism of the United States. So we are expressing the solidarity of Nicaragua with Cuba and the FSLN.
Here, we are together with Cuba. The best example that Nicaragua can provide for Latin America is to defend our revolution as we have done it and will continue to do so.
The Bolivian government revealed the armaments aid by Argentina in support of the 2019 coup d'etat. The Minister of Government, Eduardo del Castillo, disclosed the armaments sent from Argentina in November 2019 by the administration of the ex-president Mauricio Macri, arsenal which was used to repress the Bolivian people. Likewise, the minister pointed out that a large part of it was distributed to the Bolivian police, another part to the Air Force, and the remaining arsenal is under investigation to know whether it was used. The commander of the Bolivian police, Johnny Aguilera, claimed that the armament sent from the neighboring country did not reach his institution.
Next, I want to show you on screen the material that was found in the warehouse of the Bolivian police that had for represent the Bolivian people. Here on screen, we will be able to see one of the boxes that has the stamp of the Argentine Gendarmerie, that we have the rubber shells, that we have the ammunition and the corresponding gases. This ammunition, she was irregularly admitted to our country without complying with the pre-established rules for her internment.
In Colombia, the National Popular Assembly proceeds with the main objective of elaborating a second list of demands of the government of Ivan Duque as part of the context of the national strike. Close to 1,100 delegations of various indigenous farmers, students, and workers sectors are debating in 10 discussion tables several issues related to the social crisis in the country that is going through. The participants have agreed on several aspects, among which stand out human rights issues, the consolidation of the popular movement, and the creation of political platforms that promote participation of these sectors in the government. The activity will continue on the eve of the massive mobilizations plans by the strike committee to take place this Tuesday, when the conclusions of the assembly will be presented and add to the list of existing demands. Also in Colombia, according to the Institute for Development and Peace Studies, in the past at least 200 people have been killed in the 53 massacres registered in Colombia during 2021. The latest crime of this nature took place in the municipality of Yolombo in the northwestern department of Antioquia. A human rights defender denounced that on Sunday, social leader Luis Castrillon, his wife, his son, and another young man identified as Frei Zapata were murdered in the region. In the past report that 10 armed men shot at the victims in the public building. The Institute's figures shows that the Department of Antioquia has reported the highest number of massacres this year, with 10, followed by Cauca with 9, Valle del Cauca with 8, Nariño with 6, and Caquetá with 4. In Chile, with 99% of the table's screwed, candidates Sebastián Sichel Ramírez and Gabriel Boric will run for the presidency of the country in November elections. The presidential pre-candidate for the Social Governance Party, Gabriel Boric, obtained more than 1 million votes, obtaining what represents 60% of the votes of the primary votes of the left coalition approval of the dignity election resulting, while the independent presidential pre-candidate Sebastián Sichel became the flag of the Chilean government coalition Vamos, after obtaining more than 600,000 votes, representing 49% of the votes within the primary rights. It is necessary that in total more than 1,748,000 people vote in the primaries of the Left Alliance, while more than 1,342,000 people participated in the primaries of the Right Coalition. We will take a short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. In Germany, the clear-up has barely begun after extensive flooding in the country and beyond, as the human and economic costs are staggering. The death toll in the floods in Germany has risen in the last few hours to at least 156 people, The search continues for hundreds more missing. At ground zero of the floods, where infrastructure is severely damaged, roads and bridges are destroyed, and there are still areas without electricity and water. As the water recedes, the extent of the damage becomes apparent. The cleanup work begins. Excavators and firefighters remove the remains of the scene of destruction, while the neighbors remove the destroyed belongings. The flood risks remain high for some regions after more rainfall at the weekend. As part of their recovery efforts, the police in Koblenz are making an initial assessment of the floods that hit western Germany.
An overview of the policing figures. A total of 117 people have died so far. 754 people have been injured by the flood so far. Many roads and bridges have been destroyed and are no longer usable. Drinking water, electricity, and telecommunications infrastructures have been largely destroyed. It will take a long time to restore these infrastructures.
The world's top oil producers have agreed to boost output from August 2021. The Vienna-based group OPEC issued a statement after a meeting announcing that they have agreed to raise out by 400,000 barrels per day each month starting on August, to help in the global economic recovery as the pandemic is. The group also said it will set assess market development in December, and the deal also extends a deadline on capping output from April 2022 to the end of that year.
So yes, we will keep the 400 on a monthly basis. We will review in December. We kept our window open for review.
Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, and Nicaragua, Denis Moncada, held a meeting in Moscow. These talks were described by the Nicaraguan Foreign Minister, Denis Moncada, as productive and positive. These negotiations promote bilateral cooperation between the two countries in areas such as economics, security, information, food, and transportation. It was also reported that both authorities signed a collaboration agreement to guarantee international information security. In Afghanistan, the head of the High Council for National Reconciliation, Abdullah Abdullah, says the Afghan people expect much more from the latest talks in Doha between the Afghan government and Taliban, and add that the door for negotiations is open.
Well, of both sides. And we also came here to tell them that we have come with seriousness, but at the same time, we are flexible, and it requires flexibility from both sides. So in the past 2 days, we also agreed that there should be no pause in the negotiations. While the collaboration and support from the international community will continue in many different ways, there wouldn't be the presence of international troops. Certainly, it had an impact.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has called for global condemnation of the meddling of the United States and its allies in the region. Addressing followers during the annual Islamic pilgrimage of Hajj, the Iranian spiritual leader and politician stressed that the region has suffered Western interference for over a century. He noted that this has led to the disputes and separation among Muslims, preventing them from enjoying a full spirituality of the holy pilgrimage. More stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. More than 30 people have died in the Indian city of Mumbai after an intense burst of rainfall caused a landslide, and a wall collapse has changed monsoon patterns due to the climate change, led to more extreme rains across India. According to India's National Disaster Response Force, rescue efforts continue through the night, with workers digging through mud and debris to find survivors. The rain also inundated a water purification plant, leaving part of the city without drinking water. Mumbai residents were advised to boil water from the tap before consuming it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted his condolences to victims and offered compensations to the families of those who had died in the landslide. The World Health Organization confirmed the presence of cases of the new Lambda variant of COVID-19 in more than 30 countries. The first cases of this variant were detected in Peru in December 2020. This variant represents 81% of contagions in Peru. This new variant has spread to several countries in America. The World Health Organization authorities have included the Lambda variant in the list of variants of interest, such as Delta, Gamma, Alpha, and Beta. These variants account for 37% of contagions in Argentina and 32% in Chile. Possible cases have also been reported in nearby countries such as Colombia, Paraguay, and Brazil. The UK government warned on Monday that there will be an increase in COVID-19 deaths over the coming weeks. It came as England celebrated Freedom Day, in which nearly all coronavirus restrictions were lifted.
In terms of the question about super spreading events, and I'll have a go and then Jonathan may want to add to this. When we look at the number of people in hospital with COVID, it's a somewhat different picture. So the first peak, second peak, you can see clearly, and then on the right-hand side, you can see that the number of people in hospital is increasing, so it will increase because of the infections, but not as far as it did before, and that is because of the protection of the vaccines. So we do expect this number to increase. We do expect there to be over 1,000 people per day being hospitalized with COVID because of the increased infections, but the rate should be lower than they have been previously because of the protective effects of vaccination and the real importance of making sure that everybody gets vaccinated. We are seeing an increase in the number of deaths, but at a much, much lower level, but they again will continue to increase as infections increase and will be expected to reach over 100, possibly a lot over 100, but we'll see an increase in deaths over the next few weeks as the infections rise, but at a much lower level again because of the protection of vaccination.
At least 13 people have been killed and many others seriously burned after a fuel tanker exploded in western Kenya. The incident happened while residents of Malanga village in Kenya's Siayas County were extracting fuel from the tanker after it was involved in an accident. This tragic event, it is not the first one to happen in Kenya. In 2009, at least 120 people were killed after a huge crowd descended on an overturned gasoline tanker, which then blew up.
The fire was so huge, we couldn't go any closer, and there was the first lot who succeeded by fetching the fuel. Those who came second in the lot are the ones who died there. There are motorbike riders, women, and children.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has issued a warning to investigators of recent violence and looting as he joined post-riots clean-up efforts. The African leader vowed that his government was going to strengthen security to avoid racial conflicts after days of unrest, which saw several shops being violently looted. South Africa was gripped by more than a week of chaos after violence broke up when the former President Jacob Zuma was jailed for contempt of a corruption commission. More than 200 people were killed as looters attacked shopping centers and torched key industrial infrastructure, as well as blocking trade routes.
We are all really concerned about what happened here, but we are also saying we have learned valuable lessons. We have learned important lessons. The most important lesson would be in the end, we must tighten up our security forces, but we must also ensure that the defense of our democracy is firmly in the hands of our people.
Portuguese-speaking countries have expressed concern over the recent deadly Mozambique insurgency. Members of the community of Portuguese-speaking countries have condemned violent attacks which left thousands dead and many families displaced in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province. The head of states were meeting in Angolan capital Luanda, where the African country took over the organization's rotating presidency from Cape Verde.
We condemn what is happening in Mozambique, the unqualified attacks, human and social sacrifices, but we need a joint action, whether from Africa or European countries. the CPLP has a key role to play.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. For TeleSUR English, I am Janet Perez Moya. Thank you for watching.